Hey everyone, Joe here. Today we're back with another version. This is 2022.40.4.1. In my last video, we just transitioned over to Tesla Vision, and the auto high beam had a delay added to it to compensate for the removal of radar. In this update, Tesla has seemingly sort of sped it up, aka removed the delay, but also improved the detection of other vehicles. So we're going to do a quick 10-15 minute drive. I've got auto high beams enabled for manual driving, and they're obviously forced on for autopilot. So if we engage autopilot here, they don't turn on, thankfully. There are also brake lights up there, and they're also not turning on. We're going to be going through unlit, windy roads, so it's going to be a good indicator of how quickly they detect and turn off for other vehicles. But after my experience on this version for a few thousand miles, they've vastly improved. Last video, as you see, they just turned on. There's a vehicle and they're off. On the previous version, I had some major complaints about how slow they were to turn off when other vehicles were clearly in sight. It was a good couple of seconds, and it did lead to a lot of people flashing. Also, the car would flash people as they came around corners. If they were off, a car would come around the corner, it would turn them on, and then a second later turn them off, potentially causing quite, sort of bad hazards, because you're blinding oncoming road users. This is a 2021 Model 3 with the matrix lights. Obviously the matrix is non-functional, but we are in quite foggy conditions as well. As you can see, they're on and then straight off. It's very, very comparable now to a standard human driver turning off the high beams. So they should turn on as we come up here, but as you can see, we just saw a brake light in front and they aren't coming back on, which is a good sign. And there we are. So a lot of people have been complaining online about the delay of them turning back on. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think that's an issue at all, because it gives the car a bit of a lag, a bit of a sort of, period to ensure that the car that's in front of us, if it's just gone round a corner, it's not going to turn them on. We go around the corner and we're constantly flashing them. But now we're traveling behind this car, they won't turn on. So if this car doesn't turn off, I'll probably pull over, leave a bit of a gap. Otherwise, this video is going to be pretty pointless, because they're just not going to turn on otherwise. I'm not going to be going over any of the other features in this update. It's been out for a good few weeks now, and this car is turning off, so that's good. My previous video was sort of a static mount on the ceiling. I couldn't be bothered to set it up this time because the car went in for service, so I'm just wearing the head mount. But as you can see, we're in quite a rural area, quite windy, dark roads, so it'll be a good test of how they sort of turn on and turn off. So there's an oncoming car, so they've turned on and turned off pretty much as they've come around the corner. That wouldn't be an issue in sort of my eyes. That's quite acceptable, I think. Human drivers, obviously I'm human, but controlling the auto high beam, sometimes they can be quite slow, especially when driving around the corner, to turn them off. But as you can see, they're staying off exactly when they need to. And now we're going on to a 60 mile an hour national speed limit. So I'll put autopilot on here. As you can see, there's an oncoming car and they're off. That's much better than it was before. I don't know if you've seen my previous video, but it was just flashing people, it was just staying on. A car came around the corner, it didn't even turn them off, I had to turn them off manually. It was awful. And where Tesla then forced them on for the sort of Tesla Vision autopilot, it led to a lot of complaints from owners. I'm not sure if this is coinciding with the V11 release, because that's slated to be on the 40 branch. If it is, obviously that's a welcome change. I'm sure that a lot of FSD drivers, especially now you can just sort of opt in, don't want the car constantly flashing and leaving its full beam on, especially when, you know, there could be hundreds of thousands of FSD beta testers by next year. We're now going through a residential area. It's not lit here, but there's no oncoming cars yet. We'll see around the corner. Okay, there is a car oncoming, I think. Yep, and it's turned them straight off. As soon as the headlights came into view, it was off pretty much instantly. I'd even argue in that case it was off quicker than sort of manual control. Most drivers sort of lag behind around a second to turn them off, so it is pretty comparable to manual controlling. I'm confident enough now with how quick they are that I have enabled them for manual driving as well. I think they work well enough that they can be used in pretty much all circumstances. I'm also not sure if Tesla are using the wide angle camera, but it seems to detect cars as you're coming around the corner now, which is a welcome change. I'm going to keep this video quite short and sweet, just showcasing how it is. We'll just go through the second 60 limit and see how they perform there. Another minor complaint people have been talking about online is they don't need to be lit up in residential areas. Personally, I don't mind. I think if they do, I think Tesla also need to turn them off for detected pedestrians, because if you're walking towards a car, especially with a car like this with such a bright full beam, it can be quite dazzling if you're walking on the pavement. So if Tesla can turn them off for vehicles and pedestrians in residential areas, I don't think it'll be an issue. Alright, so we're in a 40 now, and they're remaining off, and as soon as we go up to the 60, it should turn them on. Okay, yep, and they turn straight off for that car coming around the corner. In my opinion, they're pretty perfect. Now, just get the auto wipers working, and we're good to go. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.